Welcome into another segment of our MAC Volleyball Day preview and content days. I'm Emily Ehman, so excited to be joined alongside Ball State head coach Kelli Phillips. Coach, thank you so much for joining me. You're entering your ninth season at Ball State, and I want to start off with your background a little bit. You're from Muncie. You played at Purdue. You know how big volleyball is in the state of Indiana, especially in a city like Muncie. I think when people think of Indiana, you think of basketball, but to someone who has no idea, how would you describe how important the sport of volleyball is to not just Muncie, but really the state of Indiana as a whole?
I think that it was definitely a common misconception that it's basketball, but on the women's side, it's 100% volleyball. And I have been super fortunate to have grown up just embodying that, living that. It is something that is pretty special, and it's grown from Muncie being one of the oldest clubs in history that's still going very, very strong across the high schools in the area, the coaches. It has just continued to grow and be such a strong level of play that it's not even just the number of people, but the level, the talent that is coming out of Indiana. It is something that is really, really special. And it has started, honestly, at the Shondells, back from Don Shondell, bringing the sport of volleyball to Muncie and on the men's side to Ball State. And that has continued to grow with his sons. And then the legacy of people that are coaching that have either played at Ball State, have a connection to the Shondells, to Muncie is unbelievable. And something actually I'm super proud of to be a part of. I'm super proud to know those people. And honestly, it's just one of those really special parts that I think really sets Ball State apart, and is something that I'm really proud of, being from Muncie and having gone through those traditions and lived that. Like I said, you can kind of take it for granted when you've grown up in it and you don't know any different. And then as you start to really gain perspective, you understand how really special that is.
Yeah, it's so special. I grew up in Bloomington, just a few hours away, and of course it was basketball. But I remember when I started getting into club play and we would go play Munciana or these clubs, and I remember just being like, I can't believe volleyball is this big in this state. And you talk about the Shondells and the legacy that they have. I'm wondering, as a Muncie native yourself, do you have any memories growing up watching Ball State and going to some of those games?
A little bit. So when I was growing up, like, I didn't start playing volleyball until like really in the club level, sixth grade. And my family are sports nuts. And so my brother went to Ball State, my brother played baseball here. And so I think I have memories like going to every single sport here. On the volleyball side, we did some, but I think our family was very much so like, we're touching everything. We're going to softball games, baseball games, everything imaginable. But definitely, actually, before, when I was in high school, the state finals weren't located here at Ball State. And now that they are, just every time that the state finals are here, it just brings back those type of memories from my high school state finals experiences. And so those are things that definitely come to mind when I'm kind of reminiscing backwards.
Yeah, well, you've been at Ball State now for, over a decade just on the coaching staff. Does it ever get old coaching a team that, you grew up watching, have so many ties to?
No, every year is so incredibly different. And this will be my 15th total at Ball State, my ninth for being a head coach. And even in our opening meetings with the team, that was one of the things I talked, like, what I love about coaching, how every year is so different. And even with returning players, and it doesn't matter. There's a complete new group every single time with its own set of challenges, its own traditions that you're trying to add on to the things that you wanted to get better from the past. And it challenges you. It's such a fun piece. I truly love that aspect of it, and never get tired. There's always something. There's always ways we can improve. I'm always looking for things, not just with our team, but within the program, our community involvement. Like, it just is never ending expansion, and I love that part about it. And I don't think that's ever going to get old. There's always going to be something that we got to get better at, for sure.
Well, you definitely have, of course, different players coming in, different groups every year. But despite who's on the court year after year, what are those constant staples of Ball State volleyball?
Well, what I'm hoping for them to be would be serve, pass, and defend. That is something that has been a calling card for any team I've ever participated in. I truly, with my whole heart, believe those are things that highly, highly contribute to winning. So we've got to outserve, pass, and defend. We train that every day, and some, and some. Our team knows how important that is. And then I think the other tradition I've tried to continue is just having a high volleyball IQ. So we're really focusing on, even those little things that you kind of take for granted, but understanding rotations and understanding all the ins and outs. Why do we do things? Why is our system set up like this? So we try to be very engaged in the educational side. So like we want players to leave here that they could go coach their own team. Like I want you to feel confident, because I believe like that's when volleyball becomes really fun. You're not just doing skills out there, but like you see it, you can understand strategy. It's fun when you get to find ways to compete, but you have to understand the game. You have to understand how it works. And so we take a lot of pride in really making sure our players are fundamentally sound, understand the game, and then like I said, we better outserve, pass, and defend people, because we are spending a lot of time training that every day.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes a lost art of really just understanding the game, and even rotations. I think a lot of people would be surprised with how many players either come into college or by the time they leave college don't even really understand rotations. The coach is telling them to go stand in a certain spot, but when you can do that inherently and it just comes to you, it's so much easier to implement a scout and really go out there and do what your coach is trying to do.
Absolutely. That I fully believe that in every way, shape. And you gain confidence. And so we want these guys to feel confident. We want them to not feel like, you're just chasing your tail or chasing players, that you have an understanding of what's going on. Because when you're playing at a high level, everybody's good. You can't just, focus on one player. And the MAC as a whole has just gotten stronger and stronger and deeper in every position. So it is a requirement. If you want to compete at a high level, you need to be able to understand all of that, so that we can be on top and the ones leading and not feeling like we're the ones chasing.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely seems like it's worked out that way. Your teams have had so much success, really, especially over the last few years. You've made the NCAA tournament the last 3 or 4 seasons. You continually have this program at the top or near the top of the MAC. What's been key to sustaining that success for so many years in a row?
Well, I think it's never being complacent, never being complacent from top to bottom. So I really, really work that every single season. I'm trying to fine tooth comb every single aspect of our program, every single aspect of every player, that there is no stone unturned. And my goal every year is, are we maximizing what talent we have? And last year, we had 3 starters that got hurt in the first 2 weeks of season. And okay, how are we going to maintain this and not just, chalk it up to a bad year? And if my goal is to continuously work to how are we maximizing everything that we can do, and just no excuses, find a way, keep finding a way. And I certainly believe every year there's some challenge. It doesn't matter. There's going to be something, that's kind of my theme. It's always something. And so your ability to be able to take that in and not get all bent out of shape about it, but just keep attacking it, I think has certainly helped us. And then obviously having great players, working really, really hard to recruit good players that not only fit our system, but buy into how I train, and the mentality of we're going to rep hard. We're going to work hard. We don't just kind of roll it out there and play. And so finding players that match that like-mindedness makes my job a lot easier. I enjoy that, as well as that's what allows us, I feel like, to help maximize every single one of our players, which then in turn has helped us to be one of those top teams the last several years.
Yeah, I mean, the players that have come through the program have been incredible. And this season, when you bring back 3 all-MAC honorees, including outside Anaya Kennedy, the reigning MAC freshman of the year, it certainly helps. And, she was so incredible in her first college season. And of course, only getting better and having another year under her belt. In your eyes, what makes her so good?
Well, certainly she has undeniable athleticism. I mean, the other day she was jump touching over 10-7, right? So there is an athleticism that is just unbelievable. But then she does work really, really hard. So she wants to get better. She is constantly pushing herself to improve her overall game. She was a middle. She had only played middle until we had several injuries last year. We flip her to the left side, and she goes out there and has that kind of year. And so now we're adding layers to her game, adding the passing, how can we get her involved in the back row? But she is somebody that works really hard. And then, like I said, her athleticism is something that's really, really special. And she puts in the work to do that. She is getting after it in the weight room, and really wants to be good. And that pays huge dividends for us.
Well, you have some other really special players in your gym. From your perspective, you've had about a week or so of camp so far. Who are 1 to 2 people that we definitely need to watch out for?
Well, I certainly think our returning setter, Megan Wolonski, she's going into her senior year, and she is hungry to finish that senior year, being known as the best setter in the league, trying to lead us to another MAC championship. We talk about that often, and she is really dialed in to making her senior year her best year, for her, for the program. So she's somebody that I think is going to play a really, really important role. I think Maddie Buckley, she's our returning right side. She was a sophomore last year, first year really kind of get into the mix. She's just matured. She's physically super strong, high. We are counting on her to be able to score a lot of points for us and use her physicality. And we got a lot of newcomers, a lot. I mean, we have a couple freshmen that someone's going to have to fill in for our graduating libero. I feel good about several of those guys that have come in and made an impact early. Still a lot of question marks of who's going to start because we did graduate several starters. But so far it has been an extremely competitive camp, and a lot of that has to do with the depth that we have in every single position. And I think it's going to make us just better and better and more fun to watch this year.
Definitely. And I want to take a look toward non-conference play now. I know you always love to test out your teams. And of course, this year is no different. You got Penn State, Kentucky, James Madison, Indiana, and it just keeps coming. Also, 10 out of your 11 non-con matches are on the road. When you set this up, what did you hope to learn about your team by the time that MAC play starts?
Well, I thought this year we would certainly have the physicality to be able to go out and compete with that type of caliber team. And so if we are trying to be able to be in the conversation for an at-large bid, for not having to play a 1 seed come tournament time, we're going to have to challenge ourselves with top 50 and above opponents. And so we have to get out there, and that's, when you're in the MAC, you got to let it fly early. And so I think that's going to challenge us and see, okay, where is our ball control? Because that's going to be tested really early. That's where we're going to be very, very new, is in our ball control. So we're going to get tested. Too, I think we're trying some new things, adding some new physicality pieces, of back row attack opportunity. Okay, what does that look like versus the best of the best? How is that going to translate into MAC play? And third, I tell these guys all the time, we're talking about being a top 40 program in the country. You've got to play the best of the best. We have to compete. And I have players on our team that are embracing that. They get it. They want to be in those type of conversations. Well, you got to go play people and you got to go beat people. And so this is going to give us an opportunity to have a lot of heavy competition early. And certainly, that's going to translate and make us better and better come MAC play.
Yeah, I mean, it's only up from there. And when you look at non-conference play, a lot of those teams, of course, did make the tournament last year. And if you do make it, we'll maybe see them again in December. So it's important to get those kind of under your belt. You guys open up with the FAU tournament. And if fans can't wait the entire month to watch at home, you have an exhibition match against Indiana State on August 24th. And I know, fans are always coming out in droves for you guys. So I'm excited to see the team get put together and that physicality really play out on the court. So good luck this season. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.